Turning now to the legal fight over the immigration ban. Late last night, a federal appeals court rejecting a request by the Justice Department to restore the terms of the ban, meaning that travelers from these 7 countries are now able to enter the United States. By midnight tonight, attorneys general in Minnesota and Washington will have to submit legal briefs in response to that appeals court decision. The Justice Department has until Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern to file its reply. Joining me now to discuss is ACLU Deputy Legal Director Cecillia Wang. Cecillia, thank you very much for joining me. The Massachusetts Attorney General Maura Healey spoke to my colleague Richard Louie earlier. Here's what she had to say about the executive order.
This is an affront to the Constitution. What President Trump did through his executive order was violate the Constitution. So you're going to see a lot of advocacy, a lot of action, and we're just going to continue to press ahead. We'll go as far as we need to, but certainly we are delighted right now to see what the courts have ruled so far.
Cecillia, first of all, what's your overall take on where the legal situation stands right now?
Well, what we've seen is that many district courts, federal district courts around the country have stood up and said that the Trump Muslim ban is unconstitutional and have put a freeze on that ban. At this point, we have the lawsuit brought by the state of Washington up at the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. As you just reported, that's on a pretty fast briefing schedule. Notably, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals did refuse the Trump administration's request that the ban be reinstated immediately pending that briefing. I think what you'll see at this point is that a broad swath of the American people and American society will come out in favor of the efforts to resist President Trump's Muslim ban and to say that this is not only unconstitutional but un-American. You're going to see American businesses, faith leaders across different religions. More states, I think, will jump into this and say that the president's Muslim ban is not legal and it's just not right.
Well, I mean, what we're seeing here, just logistically speaking, this is a protracted legal battle. Is this going to clog up our system for some time?
I don't think so. I think what you've seen is that over the past week, since the executive order went into effect initially on the evening of January 27th, is that the legal system actually works. You have seen broad swaths of the American legal profession jumping into action, whether it was private attorneys volunteering to go and represent individuals who were being turned away at the airports and detained, to now large state attorneys general jumping in to say, we are going to stand up for the Constitution and against the president's Muslim ban, to civil rights organizations. Everyone is chiming in to say that we are going to go to court. I think the system has worked as it should. Federal judges nearly across the board have said this policy by the president looks like it is unconstitutional, and we are going to freeze it until we can have full briefing and a decision on the merits.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, during that freeze, is there a situation now overseas where you have a kind of rush by people to get in under the wire before the ban goes back into place?
To the contrary, I think what you see is that there was chaos caused by the ban, the executive order going into place without proper vetting, the regular vetting that would have happened in the executive branch that we've seen across many administrations over past decades. What's happening now that the ban is frozen is that there is an orderly process for people who had valid, lawful visas and refugees who were scheduled to be resettled in the United States, now again queuing up as they were intended and as they had been scheduled to do. You've seen the very touching stories. A mother whose daughter in the U.S. was about to give birth, had been afraid she would miss the birth, is now coming in. There was a baby born in Iran who was scheduled for heart surgery in the United States, whose surgery was postponed. People are now in an orderly way able to come back into the United States now that the ban has been frozen by the court system. So I think this is an orderly situation, order that has been put into place by the federal judiciary, and no thanks to the White House, which has rolled this executive order out in the most haphazard and chaotic way.
But isn't it possible, Cecillia, that there are people that had visas who were planning maybe to come to the U.S. in a month and are saying, wait a minute, maybe I ought to come in faster than that, or even refugees who fit that category?
Well, refugee resettlement happens according to a very orderly process. These are things that the federal government agencies plan out in advance with the refugee resettlement organizations in the United States. That is an orderly process, and I think that that will just take place as originally scheduled. Things have to get rescheduled, of course, but that's an orderly process. As far as visa holders, both immigrant visa holders and visitors to the United States, I think that people probably are taking a moment to pause and say, what's going to happen next? Over the course of just 1 week, we've seen so much chaos and so much back and forth with the Trump administration first saying that lawful permanent residents of the United States who happen to be on vacation or visiting family abroad were trapped, unable to get home to the U.S. They then rescinded that and said, yes, lawful permanent residents can come in. They're not subject to the ban. There's been so much back and forth. But at this point, since the legal system, the judiciary has gotten involved, we have orderly briefing processes. We have a temporary restraining order that is now in place, coming a nationwide temporary restraining order out of the state of Washington by the federal court there in Seattle. I think that you'll see an orderly process. But yes, I think people's lives were disrupted during the week that the travel ban, once the travel ban went into effect, and now people are trying to, in an orderly way, go about their business and use their lawful visas to come into the country.
Okay, ACLU Deputy Legal Director Cecillia Wang, thank you very much.
Thank you.